Go ahead. Somebody. Go to the book of Esther. I call it Go to Esther. You can keep it at your seat. I'm going to ask you to read. Actually, use this one. Here, it's already there. Sorry, the book of Esther. Hand me that back.
Esther, chapter.
We're going to start in chapter 3. Make sure you just have that apocrypha. Oh, sorry, sounds totally cool. Cool, I'll make sure you have that apocrypha.
You good, huh?
Shalom, Israel. This is we are the Isupk, coming out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. This is the first day of the Feast of Purim. And so Shalom, Yahweh Shemir Shabbat to all the Akim, and Yahweh Shamar Alatham, Bahashim Yahweh Shah to all the Akwathian out there. We're going to go through we're going to actually talk about the spirit behind Purim and why we need to observe this feast day. It's not a high holy day, but it is still a feast day that Israel should commemorate. This story has a lot of layers, and I think it's good that it's 2 days because you can get a lot of layers out of this story. I'm not going to start at the way beginning, but we'll give some background information about where we are and then where we're going. All right, so some background information is that at this time Israel was the oppressor of Israel was the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire pretty much swallowed up the Medes, so it was pretty much an empire that was ran by the Persian. It was an empire that was ran by the Persians. This was an empire that pretty much ruled the known world at the time, and they had conquered. So, he was ruling, and the background information was that he had a queen. Vashti, obviously, he was a serious man. You could not come before the king if he did not send for you. But if he did summon you and you did not come, then that was not good for you. Okay, so everybody pretty much obeyed what the king said, what his decree was. And so at this point, we know it's a story about King Ahasuerus, his relationship with a righteous woman. Her name was Esther. And we're going to be talking about a righteous man named Mordecai and why he was important. And we're going to talk about the vanity and the evilness of Haman. And you can get a lot out of this story, pretty much talking about what type of individual Haman was. And you can see that same attitude. I do want to start off by saying, of course, the spirit behind any of these days have to do with brotherhood, because it gathers us together and commemorates us to take our identity back. Because on a lot of these days that we celebrate, these feast days, we're celebrating us coming out of captivity and putting our heritage back on. A lot of times, the leaders, the so-called leaders, will cause us to go into captivity because we wanted to be like the nations around us. And we got leaders even like this nowadays. We got our politicians that want to be just like the nations around us. Or anytime you worship the gods of other nations, what does that do? Does anybody want to tell me what that does? When you worship a god of another nation, does anybody know what happens? Go ahead, Darwin.
It pushes you under them.
Right, it puts you right into captivity. Okay, and so in this story, We're going to talk about us under the captivity of the Persians in the Persian Empire. All right, so we'll go ahead and start. We're going to go ahead and start in Esther 3 today. I also want you to know when we're going through the story, it's also good to look at how this story relates to nowadays. That anytime that we're ran by an empire, you can see that empire. You can see the spirit of that empire in America today. So anytime that you see, whether we're under Babylon, whether we're under Egypt, whether we're under the Persians, whether we're under Greeks, you will notice that the same spirit that is in those heathen nations, you'll see that spirit in America today. So I want us to particularly hone in on a particular character who is a heathen in the story, who is Haman. And you'll notice the same spirit that he had towards Israel, as you could see that same spirit in people like, what is his name, Derek Chauvin, or these other cops or these other politicians that literally hate our people. It's the same type of spirit that you see over and over again. But we're going to start in Esther 3, and we're just going to go through this story. I'm not going to go through every part, so we're going to jump around a little bit, but I just kind of want to give an outline of what's going on in the story and why we should commemorate and what we need to look for and why this is important. And a lot of times this story, a lot of times the Feast of Purim is pretty much around the time of Valentine's Day, of that heathen holiday. And this story is the exact opposite of Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day teaches our women to be, whores or thoughts. But this Feast of Purim shows what a righteous woman can do. I think Purim actually has to do with casting the lots, because they were casting the lots of our people, determining what was going to happen to our people. So let's get started. Let's read in Esther 3. We're going to start in verse 1. Let's look at Esther 3 and verse 1. And I will, whoever's reading, our reader, I'll go ahead and tell you to stop. We'll look at every verse or most of the verses and kind of just do a little breakdown a little bit. Esther 3, verse 1. Anybody that has it, go ahead. Go ahead, Yash. Loud and clear.
Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things, the king
Ahasuerus
promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him. They set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Okay, so the Haman was the top man. He was Ahasuerus set Haman up. He was advanced over all the princes, and he was advanced over all the kingdom. He was pretty much like the right-hand man. Okay, so Ahasuerus kind of set him up above everybody in the kingdom. All right, verse 2, go ahead. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverence Haman. For the king had so commanded concerning him.
Stop right there for a second. So everybody pretty much bowed to reverence and bowed to Haman. So he was the man, okay, of this Persian empire. He was the man, and he loved the reverence. And the background of Haman was a Macedonian, and he was an Edomite. And the Edomites, the oppressor, the conquistador, they like to be reverenced. Proof of that is because, you look at all the movies, and when it comes to showing who the power is, they always put an Edomite there. Because the spirit of the Edomite they like to be a reverence. They like to be the boss. They like to be the top man. Okay, they like to run the show. Okay, it's the same attitude that Haman had. Okay, go ahead and finish, warrior.
But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Okay, but however, there was one man that was known in the kingdom that was not going to reverence Haman. And of course, that was Mordecai. Mordecai didn't want to bow down to Haman. He didn't, because Mordecai knew the truth. He knew the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, and he knew that, you ain't supposed to bow down to a heathen, per se. You bow down to a heathen, that means you're going to start doing their ways and start compromising. Well, Haman was a brother that didn't compromise. Okay, he didn't bow down to that. Now you got to think. Now you got to put this in perspective. Everybody else is bowing down to this Haman, but Mordecai did not. We're going to see the same spirit that we see in the heathen today when one brother decides not to. Okay, you're going to see it. Go ahead, pick it up. I think we're in verse 3.
Verse 3. The king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
Now they notice this man. They say, well, why are you transgressing the commandment? Why are you doing this? Why aren't you bowing down? Why aren't you compromising? Okay? Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to do is to bow down? And if you notice, anytime that we're in captivity, the Most High will have a set of people that are not going to do it. We can think about that in the book of Daniel. Remember when Daniel and his men were in captivity, and they weren't, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They did not bow down. They didn't compromise when King Nebuchadnezzar. And what happens when we don't compromise? Anybody want to tell me what does the Edomite do, or what does the oppressor do when we don't bow down and we don't do what they have? Go ahead, Yasha. Yeah, they usually try to kill us. They usually say, "Well, you're gonna die. We're gonna kill you." They put a foot on your neck. They put you in a chokehold. They lock you up. Okay. In the time with Nebuchadnezzar, they pretty much threw those young righteous men in the fire. Threw them in the fire. Same type of spirit. Go ahead. Let's read on. I think we should be in verse 4.
Chapter 3, verse 4. Ezra, chapter 3, verse 4. Now it came to pass when they speak daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they hold Haman to see whether Mordecai matters would stand. For he did told them that he was a Jew.
So they're trying to figure out, they spoke to him daily, and he didn't listen because he grew up from his youth, he knew about the law, statutes, and commandments. So they tried to speak to him daily, and then they went to, and he didn't hearken to what Haman said. He wasn't going to compromise. Okay? And honestly, and that's what the Most High is looking for. He's looking for somebody that doesn't compromise. Okay? He's looking for somebody that's righteous in an unrighteous city. He's looking for us. Who's not going to compromise? Go ahead. Verse 5.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence him, then was Haman full of wrath. Okay,
now he's upset, full of wrath. He's angry now. Now he's very angry because and you got to think about this. You got to really look at this story. Remember, there's always tension between an Edomite, Esau, and Israel. So there's one man who is an Edomite. He is seeing that an Israelite, a Jewish man, a Jew, actually not Jewish, a Jew is not bowing down to him. So that same spirit, okay, that Edom had, that Esau had, that you have violence towards your brother. The same spirit is seen in this book, okay, just like in the book of Obadiah, talks about how the violence of Edom towards his brother Israel, the violence, and this is the same attitude. Okay, he was angry. His face changed, came full of wrath when he saw that this Jew would not bow down. You see the same thing now. How did this nation act when Colin Kaepernick did not pledge of allegiance? This whole nation turns against them. They don't like when one of us, don't have allegiance to their God, or do not show reverence to them. They show that they show what they really are about. They show the true spirit behind them. Okay, so it says that he was full of wrath. Let's pick it up in verse 6. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai, wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus. even the people of Mordecai.
Okay, so you see what goes on here. Because one black man or one Jew, now he's not bowing down. Look at Esau's spirit here. Look at the Edomite spirit. Now he wants to take them all out. I want to kill them all. Okay, and that's the spirit. You see that spirit even today. Okay, I want to kill them all. I want to put my foot on all their necks. I want to shoot one when they're running from me, or I want to shoot them and without probable cause. This is the same thing. He wanted to kill all of them. Okay, because one man wouldn't do this. Now he's trying to wipe them all out. And you see here, okay, that this is the ego of the heathen. Okay, Haman was a top person in the Persian Empire, and everybody had to bow to him. But one man, Mordecai, who was righteous, resisted that. Okay, Mordecai did not bow to him. Mordecai was full of power and did not sell out. And that's the attitude we got to be. We don't need to sell out, because a lot of times our leaders will sell out. They don't warn our people. They'll set out. And if you notice here, this is the same type of spirit that some of our brothers had in the Maccabees when the Greeks were taken over. They did not compromise. Actually, a family, I think it was seven brothers were killed. Okay, and I think the 7 brothers were killed when they wouldn't compromise and eat pork under the Greek rule during the Maccabees. Okay, when the Macedonians were ruling. Okay, they were killed. They did not compromise. Haman's the same way. And a lot of these people knew that when they don't compromise, death was going to ensure, but they didn't care. Okay, it was more important for them to stick to their heritage and their truth. But you got a lot of these leaders out here that will compromise just to get a crumb, from the heathen. Okay, I'm sure, if Mordecai did, compromise, they probably would have given them something. They give all these leaders out here, like a little crumb or a little slither of the pie once they compromise, but they selling out their own people. Okay, but you see Haman's ego here. He gets upset. The Mordecai ain't bound down, so he decides to just destroy all the Jews. His vanity was his number one priority. His vanity, my ego was the most important thing. Okay, so he sought to destroy the Jews of the whole kingdoms. And you got to think, this is the spirit of the heathen. Okay, this is the spirit of the oppressor. Okay, they come and then they destroy all. Like they destroyed, they came and attacked the compass, destroyed them all. Just took them all out. They took out, Aztecs. They took out. This is the spirit. I'm gonna take them all out. Okay, if they're not with me, I'm going to destroy all of them. Okay, and this is something you can learn throughout history. Okay, you see this in America even today. Okay, and why is that? Why do they want to? Why do a lot of times they want to take us out? Does anybody know why? Does anybody know why the heathen just wants to take us out? Does anybody know? Anybody wants? All right. Well, go ahead, Maya. I couldn't hear the last part. Say it again a little bit louder. All right, give them some hand. Give them a hand. All right, they hate seeing our success. Okay, more than likely, if they hate you, they're gonna hate all of us. Okay, and that's something you gotta remember. You see all these, especially in the sports arena. I like to say, when Kyrie just sent a link, you saw how this world, you saw the sports arena turn against. And instead of brothers like Shaq and Charles Barkley siding with Kyrie, they're going to side with the heathen. But little does Shaq and Charles Barkley know, if they hate Kyrie, they hate them as well. And that's what we got to always remember. Okay? And this is the important thing. Like Commander General Yohana taught this. We need to be selfish for our heritage. All right, there's a right place and a right time to be selfish. Okay, and the right place and the right time to be selfish is for us taking back our heritage and being selfish for our people, and not compromising with the heathen. Because guess what? They ain't gonna compromise when it comes to us. They're gonna stick together. All right. So we need to be selfish for our people and culture. Okay, and guess what? When we're not selfish, what does the heathen do? The solution is genocide. That's the solution for the heathen. Just take us out and wipe us out. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. I think we're in verse. Let's go into verse 7. Go ahead.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast Purim, that is the lot, before Haman, from day to day and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Okay, so I mean, this is what the Purim means. Purim in Hebrew means to pretty much cast lots. Okay, all right, and this is where we get the word Purim from. It means to cast lots. All right, go ahead, verse 8.
And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the province of thine kingdom.
So Haman has to go to the king because he's plotting, which, a precept, Psalm 81. These nations plot against us. Remember, is it Psalm 81, Psalm 83, one of those, where it talks about these nations are plotting against us, where the Hagarenes and the Arabs, they plot against us, because they want to see our destruction. It's the same thing. Haman right here is plotting. Okay, he's crafty. It's the same spirit that the serpent had in the garden. As a crafty creature. All right, go ahead.
And their laws are diverse from all people, neither keeping they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
So he's going in there and telling the people, telling the king, listen, we got a group of people in this kingdom that are not obeying you. They got their own laws. They got their own customs. They got their own statutes, and they're not going to respect you, king. So he's trying to take the spirit. He's trying to cause that king to destroy us. It's a plot. Oh, by the way, we can start eating if any I don't know if anybody wants to make the general's plate, probably already doing it, and the captains, and then we can start getting other akim to go ahead and start eating once the general and the captain's plate is served, and we'll start. Everybody else can go ahead and get themselves something to eat. All right, read that one more time. I'm sorry, go back to verse 8. And Haman, go ahead.
And Haman said unto King
Ahasuerus,
there is a certain people scattered abroad, dispersed among the people in all the province of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
So, shalom. So pretty much, that was the plot that he's doing. This is the crafty plot that he's doing. And he wasn't even man enough to say why he wants this. Okay, he's trying to be crafty about it. He was just angry because one man did not bow to him. All right, let's keep going. Verse 9.
Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries.
Okay, so he's saying pretty much he wants us to be the top part of shalom. So he wants the king. He wants this to be a priority. He wants he wants to make haste with this. He wants the Jews wiped out from this kingdom. And he knows the only way that's going to happen is if he gets the decree from the king. Okay, and it just shows the subtlety and the disgusting attitude that this Edomite has towards us, the wickedness. Okay, and you see that in every captivity. You can see this same spirit. You see the same spirit in every captivity that the heathen has towards us. And that's why we have to separate from them. Because anytime we're mixed with his kingdom, they hate us. they do things to destroy us. And this just shows right here. It shows it right here in America. After the 1960s, when they were pushing for integration, what has integration done for us? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't even have our own businesses. Can't even have our own cities. Absolutely nothing. We got heathens patrolling our cities, putting us out of business. It doesn't work. It didn't work back then. You could see this when we were integrated all through or mixed all through the kingdom of Persia. Pretty much, it didn't work. The mixing did not work. All right, let's go to verse 10.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
All right. So pretty much we see what's going on in this story. So we started off here, those that are just coming in, we started off talking about Salaki Cat. Is that the screen? I don't know if it's still live. I think it is because it says improv. This screen got small, but I think it's still live. Salaki Cat. We still 12? Okay. Let's wait. All right. So we see here, we're introduced to the first character in the story. Actually, we're introduced into two characters in the story. One character was Haman. Okay, Haman is a Macedonian, he was an Edomite, and the other character is is Mordecai. Haman is a selfish, vain heathen that hates us, and then we got Mordecai, who is a righteous man. This righteous man doesn't want to bow down. He doesn't want to bow to the system he doesn't want to bow to Haman because he knows what Haman is. He knows that Haman is a disgusting heathen anyway. Okay, so we got two men that were introduced in the story. We're going to look at another character as well, and also we're introduced to the king as well. He's just the one that rules the Persian army. Okay, and right now we're going to find some other characters in the story, but we want to just make sure we understand how we want to look at the character of Mordecai and see how righteous his example is. He had a righteous example. That's the example we have to follow. Okay, I'm not compromising, not doing what we think they going by bowing down to the heathen. Okay, because the heathen loves to be reverenced. He loves to be adored. He loves people bowing to him. Okay, and we gotta see that, and we gotta see that is something that we should not do. We gotta look at Mordecai's example. All right, so let's go to Esther 4 now. We're going to go to Esther 4. We're not going to read all the way through. Okay, we're going to just skip around the story. We're not going to read all the way through, but let's go to Esther 4. All right, we're going to look at Esther 4. We're going to look at some more things on this story when it comes to Purim. All right, let's look at Esther 4. We're going to start in verse 1. Okay. Let me give some background. I'm sorry. So actually, let me give some background. Okay. So when the word went out, the king gave the word to go out and kill the Jews. He took his ring off and he gave Haman that permission. So this was sent out to all the letters in the provinces that the Jewish people had, the Jews had to be destroyed. This is going out into all the provinces. So now we're going to see Mordecai's response. Okay, we're going to read Mordecai's response when he finds out that all of this is being sent throughout all the land with his people. And you got to see the spirit of Mordecai because it's the same spirit we should have. Okay, so Mordecai is now hearing that his people is going to be destroyed. Go ahead, read Esther chapter 4 and verse 1.
When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes.
Stop right there. Mordecai rent his clothes. Okay, and a lot of times in the scripture, when they rent their clothes, they would sigh and cry. Okay, and Mordecai pretty much was sighing and crying for his people. And that's the attitude we have to have. Because, usually people that sigh and cry for their people want the best for their people, want to save their people, want to sacrifice for their people. Mordecai hears this. He's sighing and crying because he hears that his people are going to be destroyed. And he doesn't want his people to be destroyed because Mordecai knew the promise. He knew the promise that the Most High gave that the descendants of Israel would live forever. And so he's hearing that his people are going to be wiped out. So he rent his clothes. He rent his clothes and probably, you know, and it's going to show that he prayed to the Most High. Okay, he prayed to the Most High that the Most High, you know, we'll see. Let's go on. Go ahead, read that from the top.
Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
And this is the type of attitude the Most High is looking for. Okay, and we hold your marker there. Hold your mark there. I want you to go to let's get a precept. Go to Ezekiel 9:4. This is the spirit that the Most High wants us to have. Because if you notice, there's going to be a time where the Most High is going to put a mark, or where the people that have his mark, the people that are obeying his laws, statutes, and commandments, he's going to separate them. Okay? And the people that usually are keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, they are the ones that are sighing and crying of the abominations, of what's going on, of all the evil that's seen that's being done to their people, and the evil that their people are doing. You have people that are sighing and crying that our people are on drugs. They're sighing and crying of our people that are in cages on the border. They're sighing and crying that all our black men are being put in prison. They're sighing and crying of our people on drugs and are given over to drunkenness. They're sighing and crying for that, okay? And they want their people free. They don't want their people under the even. They sigh and cry for that, and the Lord is looking for that. Let's look at Ezekiel 9, verse 4. Let's turn there for a second. Hold your marker there. Go to Ezekiel 9, verse 4.
Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4.
Go ahead.
And the Most High said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark.
Stop right there, Salakia. And the Most High right here, Ezekiel is seeing this, and he's saying, go through the midst of Jerusalem. And General Mayat, under Command General Yohana, taught us that Jerusalem's anywhere where the Most High people are, where the Lord's people are. And the Lord is looking for people that are in the midst of wherever we are. He's saying, look in the midst of Jerusalem. And he's looking for, go ahead, he's looking for what?
And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry.
That sigh and cry. The men that got the same attitude as Mordecai. Go through the midst of Jerusalem. Go through there and look. Sigh and cry for all the misery, all the pain. Sigh and cry for all the police shootings. Sigh and cry for all the drug use and state. Sigh. Go ahead.
That sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof.
The Lord's people, the Most High's people, they're going to sigh and cry for everything that they see what's going on with their people, for what their people are doing and what things have been done to their people. They're going to sigh and cry for that. Just like Mordecai did. Mordecai ripped his clothes and sighed and cried for his people and his nation. You imagine if we had leaders like that in place. Well, Commander General Yohana and the generals and all the people eyes can't have that spirit. Okay, but that's why we cry out. We cry out on like, what is it, Isaiah 58. Cry loud and spare not. Because we are sighing and crying out for our people. The people might not like it. But who else is sighing and crying for their people? Okay? And that's the same attitude that you see Haman have. Not Haman, Slakia. Mordecai has here. The sighing and crying for his people. He wants his people to live. All right? Go ahead. Oh, Slakia. All right? Oh, Slakia. All right? We'll go ahead and pick it up in verse 2. I'll go ahead and read it. Verse 2. And it came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Okay, so it even came up to the king's gate. All right, this is Mordecai and his attitude about this whole situation. All right, let's look at verse 3. Go ahead.
Esther, right?
Yes, Esther chapter 4, and let's read verse 3.
chapter 4, Esther chapter 4, verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
Okay, so the people are mourning right now. Okay, they're sighing and crying. And this, and when you sigh and cry for your people, this will plead your case before the Lord, because that's what he wants. He wants somebody to have the heart up for his people. He wants somebody to have the spirit of brotherhood, somebody who's willing to even make a sacrifice for his people. And you see this, this is the attitude of Mordecai. And when we're introduced to Esther, we're going to see that same spirit is in her, because Mordecai actually raised Esther up. He put that same spirit in Esther to care for her people and to love her people. All right. And Mordecai was not an average brother. Okay. An average brother is going to bow down. Okay. An average brother is going to compromise. But Mordecai was not an average brother. Mordecai was a brother that's not going to compromise. And due to him not compromising, due to that, he was going to obey the Most High even unto death. Okay? All right? But the heathens, they will do whatever they have to destroy you. They'll do whatever they need to destroy you. Okay? Let's go to verse 4 now. Go ahead. So now we see Mordecai is weeping and wailing, sighing and crying, and we got the other Jews in that town and in that city, they are now sighing and crying. And now we're going to be introduced to this sister Esther. And we're going to see what happens with this sister Esther when she hears the news about, what's going on as far as her people are concerned. And we're going to see that same spirit that we see in Mordecai is the same spirit that's in Esther. Because Esther raised, Mordecai raised that sister up. He raised her and he put that straight. It takes a strong brother to raise a sister up like Esther. Okay, it takes a strong brother. You have to be a strong brother. And if you don't even feel like you're strong, say that you're strong, like Commander General Yohana taught us. All right, go ahead. We're in verse 4.
Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her.
So they told to Esther what's going on. Now Esther right now pretty much is a wife of the king. Let's give a little background. She was one of the maidens chosen to be a wife of the king. And the king would only call these maidens when they were summoned. Okay, other than that, they had to be in their chamber, but she was one of the wives of King Ahasuerus. Okay, and so now it's being told to her by her handmaids, that hey, your people are sighing and crying. Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna come. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent remnant to clothe Mordecai.
So this sister knows what's going on, and she sent to clothe, and she's trying to comfort Mordecai. She's trying to comfort his brother that is so distraught that Haman is going to now destroy and kill his people. Go ahead.
And to take away his sackcloth for him, but he received it not.
He didn't even want to receive it, because that the most important matter to him at that time was that his people was about to be destroyed. Okay, Mordecai did not want it. He was so far. He was so fervent for his people. Okay, all right. Esther being righteous. Now here's the thing about Esther. Esther was in a powerful position. Okay, she's the wife of a king. Now we're going to see what the Lord. We're going to see the righteousness of Esther when she's in a powerful position. There's so many black leaders per se that are in these powerful positions or in a position where they could make a difference. And what do? They don't do anything for their people. They compromise. They want to please the heathen. They do what the heathen ask them to do just for a crumb. They don't even sit there and in that powerful position do something to help their people. You know, and this you can compare this with Michelle Obama and Barack. Barack's a heathen, but Michelle Obama. Okay, when you are in a certain position, okay, to help your people, when you are in a position of power, your spirit's going to show, because it's going to show whether you really love your people or love your oppressor. It always shows when you're in a certain position of power. And if you see all these leaders or all these people in our community that's supposed to be helping our people, when it comes time to helping our people, you see they fold really quick because they love their oppressor. They don't love their people. They would select. Of course. Anybody else that hasn't gotten something to eat, if everybody else says, y'all can go ahead and get something to eat. All right. So we'll see that. So let's go to let's keep it going. Let's go to verse 5. So right now, Mordecai did not want to receive the help or the assistance from Esther. She's trying to cheer him up. She's trying to cheer this brother up. This brother is distraught, okay, because he loved his people that much. He had the spirit of brotherhood. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Okay, so she's trying to find out, okay, what is going on? What's really this matter? To know what's this matter? Why are you sighing and crying? Why is our people sighing and crying? What's going on behind this? Okay, this shows her concern for our people already. A lot of times when our people are sighing and crying, what happens? People in position of power, what do? They take the oppressor's side. They out of their mind. They just trying to, Kyrie sends a link. And the people in power are in a certain position, they go against them. Okay, they compromise because they love the oppressor more. Go ahead, verse 6.
Verse 6. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the streets of the city, which was before the king's gate.
Go ahead, verse 7.
Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews, to destroy them.
Okay, so he's telling her the matter. He's telling her why, why he's sighing and crying. What's going on with this matter? Why is this matter so important to him? Why is he so distraught? He's telling her the news that Haman, this Edomite, is going to destroy, this Macedonian is going to destroy our people. And this is why he doesn't even want to be clothed at this time, because this matter is so pressing. Go ahead. Verse 8.
Also, he gave him the copy of the writings of the decree that was given to Shushan to destroy them, to shew it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king.
Stop right there. Okay. Read that from the top one more time. I want us to really, this is a really good point being brought out. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given to Shushan to destroy them, to shew it unto Esther.
So Esther's seeing this decree right now to destroy her people. Okay, go ahead.
And to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go unto the king, to make supplications unto him, and to make requests before him for her people.
Notice the attitude that he's instilling in Esther, that you are in a position to help your people. I've raised you this way. Okay, because remember, Mordecai pretty much helped raise up Esther. This is how I've raised you up. Now, since you are in a position of power, I want you to go and make a request before this king to make a request of your people. Okay, and this is the attitude we should all have. This is the righteous attitude of a righteous brother and a righteous sister. Okay, because anytime you really go before a king, a heathen king, he could really just kill you. Okay, and Esther had that spirit. She knew the cause. She knew the cost. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they all knew the cost under these heathen nations. But because they were in positions of power, it was more important to obey the Lord, to obey the Most High, than to obey a heathen. It was more important to them because that's the spirit of brotherhood. And it was more important to them to save the sacrifice, even if they had to sacrifice themselves for their people, even if it cost them their own life. And you don't see that attitude outside of UPK nowadays. You don't see that attitude. You see people that want to compromise and find every reason not to sacrifice for their people. But then they'll sit up there and wear the symbols and, Black Lives Matter and all of this, but won't even put in the work. They won't put in the work to sacrifice for their people because they really don't love their people. They really love the oppressor. Okay? And like I said, Mordecai asked Esther to assist him in intervening to save their people. This shows the strength of the sister can have in Israel. A lot of these sisters might not know, where can I fit in? This book is a beautiful book to show what a sister can do. Okay? And we're going to see how Esther used her feminine strength to get her way. Okay? Because a lot of times sisters will use the feminine strength in a wrong way and their power. But Esther uses her power in the correct way to get her way to save her people. And it wasn't incorrect in the story. All right, go ahead. The people are just getting, we're in the book of Esther, chapter 4, and we're in verse 9. The people that just joined us. And shalom. Shalom. All right, book of Esther, chapter 4, and verse 9.
Verse 9. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai.
So now Esther knows the words. She knows what Mordecai said. Go ahead, verse 10.
Again, Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him commandments unto Mordecai.
Okay. All right. So now she's gave the commandments unto Mordecai. She told him what to say. Go ahead. Verse 11.
Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
Stop right there. So, Esther is letting them know the cost. If I go and I'm not summoned, I could be killed. You couldn't just walk up before a king. You just couldn't come to the king's inner court, even in the heathens. So I always like to say, more with tabernacle, had the tabernacle walking there, you die. Even the heathens understood that. You can't walk up before a king unless you came in a king. Even though she was the wife, you still had to be summoned. And she knew the story of how the first wife was exiled. Okay, so that there was a law of you come when you're summoned, or you stay away when you're not. Okay, because the first Queen Vashti was summoned and she didn't come, and we know what happened to her. She was exiled. Okay, and so Esther knew that, and she knew the law. You can't just come before the king. Go ahead.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter.
Now, if the king holds out his golden scepter, that's a good sign. Means you'll live. All right. If not, that was it for you. Okay. So she's letting them know that this is a rule or law throughout the kingdom. Go ahead.
That he may live. But I have not been called to come unto the king these 30 days.
Okay, she hasn't been summoned these 30 days. So she's letting them know, like, hey, listen, this is a dangerous mission I'm about to go on. Okay, but this is the cause. Okay, and it could cost her a long life because you just can't, like I said, come before into the king's chambers. Okay, and you see, we're going to see how Mordecai responds to what Esther said. Okay, this is the righteousness of Mordecai, and you notice he's instilling that righteousness in this sister. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, verse 12.
No, verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words.
Okay, so verse 13 we're about to read is very important. It's a very important verse because this is the spirit that we all should have. And notice he's putting this spirit into her. And I'm sure she already had this spirit because, like I said, he raised the sister up. It takes a strong brother to raise up a strong sister. Okay? And it's got to be a special type of brother. Not every brother can raise up a righteous sister. Okay? So you gotta be a strong brother. Okay? Because you gotta instill the sense of brotherhood or sisterhood. You gotta instill that in that sister. Okay? Go ahead. This is an important verse. What Mordecai says. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to Esther, think not with thyself.
Think not with thyself. Don't think of your own self. You know, John Hyman brought this out the other day. And I'm paraphrasing and correcting my but he said, be careful people say, I gotta be true to myself. Be careful those people. You know, those people I gotta be true to me. I gotta be true to myself. Because if they true to themselves, guess what? They ain't gonna be true to you. And they ain't gonna be loyal to you. You know, and you know, somebody being true to themselves, that they're a killer. They'll kill you. Somebody being true to themselves, they'll take your wife. That's somebody being true to themselves. Okay, so you want to be careful. People say, well, I'm being true to me. That's a dangerous brother or sister who makes that comment. And guess what? Mordecai is saying the exact opposite. He's not saying, hey, sister, be true to yourself. He's saying, think not of thyself. Don't think about you. Think about this nation. Think about your people. Think about, you know, this could be the reason why you're put here. It's to save you. This is why you're probably in this powerful position. Don't think about your own self. Go ahead. Read it from the top. Slaki.
Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Don't put yourself over all of your nation. Okay, think of your nation. Okay, you know, and this is the same attitude that Christ had, Yahushua had. He had this same spirit. He had the same attitude. Okay, he had the same attitude of how to sacrifice for your own people. Actually, let's pull that real quick. Hold your marker there. The high priest at that time, even though he was off, he even made a prophecy of the attitude that Christ had. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at was it John 11? Let's pull John 11 and let's go to John 11. Let's start in verse 49. Okay, we're going to read that.
First John chapter 11, verse 49.
So this is the high priest at the time of Yahushua. He's actually speaking and we're going to see the attitude. And you know, he was prophesying because the Lord put it in his mouth to say this. Okay, but this is the attitude that Christ had, and this is the same spirit that Esther had when it comes to their people. And this is the same attitude we should have. Go ahead, verse 49, John 11.
And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, ye know nothing at all.
Well, nor consider this. Go ahead. Nor consider that is verse 50. Go ahead.
Verse 50. Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not.
You see that attitude? So that's the attitude Christ had. You know, that one man, okay, should die for his people. Why? So that the whole nation won't perish. That's the attitude Christ had. So that the whole nation won't perish. Okay? And this is what Mordecai was saying to that sister. Okay? Don't think of yourself. Think of your nation, of saving your people, and whether you perish or not. Okay? And this is the same attitude. Okay? I'll go ahead and read that from the top again. Verse 50, read it again. This is the high priest saying this. Go ahead.
Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not.
So that the whole nation should perish not. Let's read verse 51. Go ahead.
And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year.
So the Lord, the Most High, put that in his mouth. Okay, he just put that right in his mouth. Okay, because it was something that was needed to be said. Go ahead.
But being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahushua would die for that nation.
And so Yahushua would die for that nation. He would die for that nation so that that nation would live. So that nation would not perish. Okay, so that nation would live on. So that nation could have an opportunity to serve the Most High. Go ahead, verse 52.
And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one that children of God, of the Most High, that were scattered abroad.
So let me get a second reader too, because I'm gonna give this brother a break. So anybody that because we're in Esther, we're in the book of Esther, chapter 4. Okay, I want to give this break so this brother gets a break too. We're in Esther chapter 4. All right. So we're reading verse 13. The water too, boy. All right. So we're in, those that just joined us. We're in the book of Esther. We're reading in chapter 4. Just let me go summarize what we've been talking about so far. So far, what we've been reading in the book is we're seeing two attitudes here. We're seeing the attitude of Haman. Haman was an Edomite, pretty much. He was a Macedonian Edomite. He was in, and he was at the top of the nation. Okay, he was at the top of the nation under the king of Persia. You know, the Persian Empire at this point ruled the known world. And pretty much everything that Ahasuerus said pretty much was done from his command. Okay, but we know that at this point that the Persians were ruling our people. Okay, and when our people, and anytime our people are in captivity, you will find over and over again that there are people in there that are still keeping the commandments of the Most High. You will find a righteous brother, a righteous sister in that captivity that are keeping the Most High's commandments. They're not compromising. Well, in this story, we know that in this story, it was a brother named Mordecai. Mordecai was the brother that didn't compromise. He was the one that was keeping the Most High's commandments, the laws and the statutes. He was a man of integrity, if you want to say. He's a man of integrity. And Haman, the Edomite, he wanted everybody to bow down to him. And that's the spirit of Esau. You know that's the spirit. He wants people to bow down and reverence him. Okay, he wants to be in the position of God. He wants people to bow down, reverence him. And that same attitude is, we see that in America. Well, Mordecai didn't want to do that. We know that. Mordecai was like, I'm not bowing down and I'm not reverencing Haman. So when Haman finds this out, well, actually they press Mordecai. And a lot of times, what do they press us to compromise? A lot of our leaders go ahead and fold. Mordecai was not folding. He was not going to fold and do what he wasn't going to bow down. So because Mordecai didn't fold, Haman became angry. Okay, and he showed the spirit of his father, Esau. Okay, when his father and Esau gets mad at us, does anybody want to say what happens when Esau gets mad at us? What's their attitude? They want to what? They want to kill us. Right. And so he said, well, you know what? Since this man, this Jew, is not bowing down, since he's not worshiping me, since he won't reverence me, I'm going to kill him. But Esau never stops there. What does he usually do after that? He starts to kill one. What does he do after that? He starts to what? Come on, somebody tell him. Go ahead.
Kill your family, your relatives.
Yeah, he starts to kill us all. So he said, Haman's attitude was like, not only am I going to kill this one Jew, I'm going to kill them all. Right. Okay, I'm going to kill them all, and I'm going to take them all out because this one man won't do it. And that is the spirit of Esau. Okay, the violence. He has that violent attitude, that violent spirit towards Israel. It says it all through the book of Obadiah. Okay, and you can read that even in, I think it was Ezekiel too, about his violent attitude, his anger, and what he just wants to destroy. Okay, you see that in America today. That's why that spirit was in Derek Chauvin, putting his foot on George Floyd's neck. Right. Austin Sterling. Who else? There was so many. Mike was Michael Brown.
Mike Brown.
Trayvon Martin, and Freddie Gray, because they got that's that spirit. And even one of us who was following the heathen can have that spirit. That's why, what's his name? Tyrese Nichols, is that his name? Is that the one that brother just got killed? Yeah, that's why he was killed. You know, because if you following and compromising with the heathen, you'll have that same spirit. You'll want to kill blacks, Hispanics, and Native as well. Okay, and you'll want to do the same thing. And sometimes they'll even be even more zealous to do it. Right. Sometimes you'll see a black cop even more zealous. Like, I'm gonna show the white cops, I'll kill even more Negroes. Okay, I'll kill even more Hispanics. I'm gonna throw them all in the jail. Okay, because they want to impress. They want to impress their oppressor. Okay, but that's the attitude that Haman. So we see that Haman wanted to kill us all. And so what happens? I'm just summarizing people that just got here. So what happens? Mordecai finds out that he wants to kill all his people. Mordecai sighs and cries for his people. Mordecai is distraught because now he finds out his people is going to be destroyed. And we went to a precept in Ezekiel 9, how the Most High said, go through Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is where the Lord's people are at. Go through Jerusalem and put a mark on the people that sigh and cry. And Mordecai was somebody like that. And there was other people also with Mordecai who were sighing and crying when they heard that Haman had convinced the king to make a decree for them to be destroyed. And so what Mordecai did, Mordecai had to be smart here because Mordecai cared for his people. Mordecai knew that Esther, and he raised Esther up. Esther was in a position of power. Esther was in a position of power because she was wife of the king. And Esther heard that Mordecai was distraught. And she sent word to find out, what's going on with this brother? Why is this brother so upset? Why is this brother so distraught? Why is he so hurt? Why is he in pain? And when Mordecai told her what was going on, then he said, you're in a position of power. Okay? You can make a difference. And so many of our black leaders are in positions of power, but they do absolutely nothing.
Right. They
do absolutely nothing for their people because they secretly love the oppressor. The oppressor's giving them a bone. The oppressor's giving them a slither of the pie. The oppressor has billions. They get a couple 100,000 and they're good. Now they can get with the oppressor's wife and they feel like they've stepped up in the world. Well, Mordecai didn't have that attitude and he was still in Esther. You're not going to have that attitude. You are in a position of power. And so right now we're in Esther chapter 4 and Esther told him, yes, I'm in this position, but guess what? There is rules. I can't just go before the king. I can't just go before the king or I will die. Because the king has to summon me. And so now we're going to go back and we're going to find out. We're going to read what it said. You know what? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This could be this could be just for you. I don't want you to get hurt. But actually, let's go back to verse 11 when she says, I could potentially die. We're in Esther chapter 4, verse 11. Go ahead.
So book of Esther chapter 4, verse 11.
Go ahead.
And all the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter.
Stop right there. So she's telling about the danger of this. It's a dangerous mission I'm about to become on. If that king don't hold out the scepter, I can potentially die. Go ahead.
Slide, sir. That he may live, but I have not been called to come into the king's these 30 days.
Okay.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13.
All right, so verse 13 is important because we were honing in on that. Okay, I just wanted to go back and summarize. Go ahead, verse 13.
Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to Esther. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house.
Okay, think not of thyself. Don't be just true to yourself. Okay, we just talked about that. Be true to your nation. Okay, don't think of yourself. Be true to your nation, your people. Your people are more, the nation's in trouble right now. Okay, go ahead.
more than all the Jews.
More than all the Jews. Stop. Don't put yourself above all your nation. Think about, be sisterly right now. Have the spirit of brotherhood. Think about your people. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
Well, if you don't do it, see, Mordecai was righteous. See, Mordecai knew the prophecies. He knew the promise. He said, if you don't do it, it's going to arise in another way. Okay? But, but you're going to be able to count. Like, if you don't do it, though, it's going to come another way. Keep going.
But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
But you're going to be held accountable. Okay? Because you are in a position of power and you did nothing. These leaders that are in these positions, they're going to be held accountable because they did nothing for blacks, Hispanics, and natives. They're going to be held accountable. These are the ones that don't sign cry for their people. These are the ones that don't ask for, they don't do anything for their people. These are the ones that sign, these are the ones that go against Colin Kaepernick. These are the ones. These are the ones that go against a Kyrie Irving. And they're going to have to answer to that. Go ahead.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Who knows? This is probably the reason why you're here. This is the reason why. Who knows? Okay, you were put in this. I'm sure when she became the wife, you probably know like why. But sometimes you don't know it. But he said, this is probably the reason why you were put here. Who knows? You're in a position to do something. Do it. Okay? Do it. And if you notice all the righteous people in the scriptures, when they were in captivity, when they had a position to do something, when they were in a position to do something, they did it. They went and they asked for, they wanted to help their people. They went to the oppressor and asked the oppressor whatever it was. They told the oppressor that to help, as far as they wanted to help for their people. Who did it? They did it. I think even Ezra and Nehemiah, they did it. Okay. Oh, no sweat. All right. So this is a position that we all need to take. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer.
Go ahead.
Verse 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day.
Okay, so she's saying, okay, well, listen, all right, we're gonna have to do it. Let's do it. Okay, go and gather all the Jews that are in Shushan. We're gonna have to fast for this. We're gonna really pray. We're gonna sigh and cry for this situation. Go ahead.
I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
Notice that she not only did she made her handmaids do it too. Her maidens do it as well. This is a righteous sister right here. This is a righteous sister. She not only said, I'm gonna do it, my handmaid's gonna do it as well. So obviously she probably commanded them. Right. Okay, you won't get this done too. Okay, go ahead. And
so will I go into the king, which is not according to the law.
So she said, okay, I know this is a dangerous mission. Okay, but I'm gonna still do it. I'm gonna go into the king and I'm gonna really present myself. I know this is a dangerous mission, but I'm gonna still do it. Go ahead.
And if I perish, I perish.
If I die, I die. Okay, if I perish, I perish. That's a great attitude to have. That is a righteous sister right there. This is a righteous sister that is showing how a sister should be. Shalaki, Quran. Do you have the apocryphal?
I got it right here.
You got it. Okay, right in the book. Shalaki, Quran. All right, no sweat. All right, so that's how. So we're gonna see now. What I really like about this story, which is brought out, is we're gonna see how Esther gets her way. Okay, we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it in the book of Esther, but then we're gonna look at it's more detailed in the apocrypha. How Esther got her way. Esther is going to use her feminine strength. She didn't go up in there like a man and say, "I got a word with you, king." She probably got killed.
Right.
Okay, she probably got killed real quickly. Okay, and sisters, I know UPK sisters already know this, but sisters out there need to look at this story, especially as she comes before the king. Okay, because she used her feminine strength, and the king pretty much melted. This is the most powerful man in the world. Okay, and the king pretty much melted. Okay, I always use the analogy with daddy's little girl. I always use that analogy. Okay, how hard that brother is. Brother could be a killer. Daughter come in, daddy tea time. Daddy's doing tea time. He's doing tea time.
Right.
All right, because it's just daddy. She looked daddy must be chick. Okay, I don't care how crazy and all that brother is. Okay, but we're gonna see Esther. Esther gonna do the same thing. Esther gonna use her feminine strength. She's not using that dominant, forceful spirit. She's gonna use her strength, and she gets away. And this is righteous. Okay, this was a righteous way to do it. All right, so let's pick it up. We're gonna read it. We're gonna read it in the book of Esther, but then we're gonna look in the Apocrypha because I like how the Apocrypha captures that scene. Okay, let's look at Esther. We're now in Esther. We're in Esther chapter 5, and we're in verse 1. Let's look at Esther chapter 5 and verse 1. Go ahead.
Let's look at Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal pearl.
Okay, Esther no idiot. Okay, Esther gonna put on some nice clothes. Now you gotta remember Esther's a sister. Hey, now the king, is seeing this black woman, and obviously the black woman looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the best outfit, put on the garments, because remember, she knows if you don't hold out that scepter, she's dead. But she knows what to put on, so he holds out that scepter. She knows what she's doing. Go ahead.
And stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of
So the king's sitting there. She puts on a nice outfit, looking good, looking beautiful. It's black. It's a sister. She's looking good. Verse 2.
Verse 2. And it was so when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
Okay. So, and we're going to read this in the Apocrypha. I love when the Apocrypha captures this. Okay. There's a reason why she found favor in his sight. Okay. The king's like, oh, okay. And he holds out that scepter. But we're going to look at it in the Apocrypha. Let's go and finish that.
And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
So he holds out his scepter. Okay. Now we're going to read why Esther found favor in the king's. There was a reason why. Okay. Let's go into the additional chapters in Esther in the Apocrypha. I want us to start we're going to read chapter 15, and we're going to read 1 through 16. We're going to see why Esther got the king's attention. And this was righteous. This sister did this in the righteous way. Used her feminine strength. Go ahead.
It's the book of Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 15 and 1.
Go ahead.
And upon the third day, when she had ended her prayer, she laid away her mourning garments and put on her glorious apparel.
She's got glorious apparel on. Beautiful, something that's going to catch a man's attention, the king's attention. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 2. And being glorious adored, after she had called upon the Most High, who is the beholder and savior of all things, she took 2 maids with her.
Okay, she takes 2 maids with her. She prayed. She's walking in with this glorious apparel. She's got the maids with her. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And upon the one she led, as carrying herself daintily.
Okay, she's real dainty right now. She's real, she's playing the role. Okay, she's playing the role right. Okay, she's it's like help me. So it's like the helpless, the damsel in distress. Okay, she's showing this damsel in distress. She knows what she's doing, but it's righteous. Go ahead.
Verse 4. And the other followed, bearing her train.
Okay, holding her up, guiding her towards the king. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And she was rudely through the perfection of her beauty.
She looked good. Okay, Esther's looking real good right now. Okay, and obviously that's her husband, so she knows what her husband likes. Go ahead.
And her countenance was cheerful and very admirable.
Okay. Go ahead, keep going.
But her heart was in anguish for fear.
Okay, she still had some fear now because, like I said, this is still a risk. Still a risk of what she's doing because, like I said, the king did not have to hold out his scepter. We know he did. But, she knew this was a risk she was taking. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Then having passed through all the doors, she stood before the king, who sat upon his royal throne and was clothed with all his robes of majesty.
Okay, so the king is on his throne. Okay, and she goes before him. Go ahead.
All glittering with gold and precious stones.
Okay.
And he was very dreadful. Verse 7.
Okay, so the king is looking, He's attending the serious matters right here. Okay, so the king is attending a serious matter. He's a king. Okay, he's ruling his kingdom. Okay, and like I said, we know the story of how he is with the people he's ruling over. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Then lifting up his countenance that shone with majesty, he looked very fearful upon her.
Okay, so he looks serious at her, like, what's going on here? Because he did not summon her. Okay, she was not summoned before the king. Go ahead.
And the queen fell down.
Okay, she falls down. Now she becomes very helpless. Okay, this sister was playing it really well. Now she's helpless. She falls down. Help me. Okay, help me. I don't care how much of a killer you are. Okay, she knows the feminine, masculine type energy. And she's playing it really well. Now she falls because now I need some help. Go ahead.
And was pale and fainted and bowed herself upon the head of the maid that went before her.
Okay, you gotta picture this. Like, she's falling to the maid's like, I am helpless. Somebody help me. Like, and she does this right in front of her husband. Feminine strength right here. Okay, she didn't bust in there like a man, be like, I gotta talk to you. We need to talk. She didn't have that energy. We need to talk because her head would have came off. All right, but she'd have been embarrassed. Okay, who you talk? Listen, I got some matters to discuss. She knew that wasn't gonna be, and this is showing. Look, she's gonna get her way. Okay, this shows a sister getting her way. Okay, because I want to talk. It's my mouth. She did not come to the king like that because what had a mouth. Okay, all right, keep going.
Then the Most High changed the spirit of the king into mildness.
He softened him up real quick. His spirit changed real quick. She's fainting. Help me, please. Somebody get this. I can't even hold myself up. You got a picture of the sister. And then she got the right garments on too. The king's whole spirit changed. Whole spirit changed. He probably, he was like, oh, did I summon her? Didn't matter at that point. Okay, she was there. Go ahead.
Who in a fear leaped from his throne.
This man jumped from his throne. This is a king. He got all his royal robes and garments on. This man jumped from a throne. This man leaped from the throne to go help his sister that is in distress. Go ahead.
And took her in his arms.
Took her right in his arms. Okay, you got to imagine this. Okay, because she's helped. She probably felt like she can't even hold herself up. He's taking her in his arms because, he's the king now. I got to save my wife. She's in distress. Okay, now is my, now he wants to see what's the matter. What's the matter with this beautiful wife of mine? How can I help her? Go ahead.
Till she came to herself again.
Okay, now she comes to herself. Oh, I have to, we have to, now she's coming to herself. All right, now she, and now he wants to hear the matter. Go ahead.
And comfort her with loving words.
Now help to say, all the time this sister is doing this. And why is she doing this? She's doing this because she cares for her people. Herself on the line. This is a righteous attitude of verse 16. I'm going to keep going. The wife.
And said unto her, verse 9, Esther, what is the matter?
What's the matter? You got to see how he's saying it. Because remember, his whole attitude changed. What's the matter? Okay, pretty much, what can I do for you? How can I help you? You're so helpless right now. Go ahead.
I am thy brother. Be of good cheer.
Okay, cheer up. Why are you fainting? Okay, be of good cheer. Cheer up. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Thou shalt not die, though our commandment be general. Come near. Verse 11.
Okay, bringing her near now. Okay, bringing her right towards her. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And so he held up his golden scepter, and he laid it upon her neck. Verse 12. And embraced her and said, Speak unto me.
Okay, he's now, tell me the matter. What's going on with you? Tell me what I can do for you. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Then said unto him, I saw thee, my Lord, as an angel of the Most High.
Go ahead.
And my heart was troubled for fear of and my heart was troubled for fear of thy majesty.
Okay.
Verse 14.
Now you notice right here, she's giving him respect. She's playing that role. She's giving him respect. Okay. She's acknowledging he's king. I'm giving him respect. Go ahead.
Verse 14. For wonderful art thou, Lord, and thy countenance is full of grace.
Notice how she doesn't have an attitude with him. Okay. She's trying to get away. So she's coming to him with respect, giving him, respecting him, telling him good things that he wants to hear. This is the buttering this brother up. Now, well, he ain't a brother, this heathen up. But she's buttering him up because, like I said, her plan is to save her people. And this is righteous what she's doing. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And as she was speaking, she fell down for faintness.
Okay, fell down again. Okay, all right.
Verse 16. Then the king was troubled, and all his servants comforted her.
Okay, now he's really troubled. It's like, what can I do for you? Okay, I want to do something for you. What can I do for you? Okay, all right. Is that it for that was all the, okay, so that was verse 6. Okay, perfect. All right, so we see what Esther was doing here. Now she's got the attention of the king. Now the king is like, well, what can I do? Because I think he even said, even half to unto my kingdom. What can I do? How can I serve you? How can I help you? Okay, and so we're gonna go ahead and skip here. We're gonna go to Esther 7. Okay, we're gonna go to Esther 7 because we're gonna kind of finish off with Esther 7 as far as what happens in the story. But we see, we see the righteousness of Mordecai, we see the righteousness of Esther, and we see the vanity of Haman. Okay, we see the vanity of him and how his attitude is. All right, so let's go to Esther 7 because she requested that they have a banquet. Okay, and she's going to tell her petition of what's going to happen, of what she would like. Okay, let's go to Esther 7. We're going to read all the way to verse 10. All right, Esther 7, and we're going to read verse 1, and then we'll read all the way to verse 10. Go ahead.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 7, verse 1. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen.
So she's saying, I'm going to prepare a banquet, and I'm going to tell you the matter of why I'm so distraught, why things are so, why these things are so, why am I feeling this way? Because now she's got his ear. Now he's going to be listening. Okay, go ahead, verse 2.
Verse 2. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther?
Okay, remember, now she's got his attention. He's like, what is your petition? Okay, because like I said, she's melted him. Okay, so she's got him in her hand. And this is a position of power she's in. Okay, notice, like I said, she has no attitude. She's giving him the respect. But this is righteous, what she's doing. And this is all for her people. Okay, this is all to help and save her people. Okay, a position of power. Go ahead.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom.
Anything what you like. What do you want? Okay, what do you want? It's the same thing, like I said, a sister can use this strength for something good or something bad. Remember, I can't remember if somebody can remember the name. What was the lady that wanted to dance? She danced for King Herod. What was her name? She danced for King Herod, and she asked for the head of John the Baptist. But remember, she did all that. She had him in her hand. I can't remember the name of her, but Herod said, she danced for Herod, and Herod said, I'll give you anything. I'll give you anything. Because she had him. She was using her power for a negative sense. Okay? So I'll give you anything, even half the kingdom. And what she said? She wanted the head of John the Baptist. Okay? And that's when a woman uses her feminist trait for wickedness. And Herod was distraught, but he had already said it. I'll give you anything. Well, this sister's doing it for righteousness. Go ahead. Verse
3, sir.
Verse 3, go ahead.
Verse 3. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. She's like, if it really pleases you, if you're going to give me even up a half to the kingdom, let my life be given to me at my request. I want to save the life of my people. My people are important to me. Okay, I want my people to live. Okay, if you're going to give me what I've asked for, let my people live. Go ahead, verse 4. Verse 4. Verse 4. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed. Slack. Go read that from the top of the slack. First, Esther chapter 7, verse 4. for we are sold, and I and my people to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not contravail the king's demand.
So she's pretty much saying here, like, if we'd have just been held as slaves, I'd have been okay with that. Okay? I mean, if we would have just been held here as slaves, as bondmen and bondwomen, I'd have been okay with that. That'd have been fine with it. But our people are about to be destroyed. We're about to be destroyed and taken out. Okay? And I would like to petition for my people and for my countrymen, for my nation, for my heritage. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then the king Ahasuerus answered and said unto King Esther, the queen, who is he, and where is he, that Doris pursued in his heart to do so?
So you know right here, she's got the king in her hand. He said, who has done this? Because remember, this is a banquet now. I'm sure Esther still has beautiful garments on. Okay, she's still looking good for her husband. Okay, and he said, who's done this? Okay, it's just like any man, who's harmed you? Okay, any man will go into that mode when he sees that his wife or woman is in distress. Baby, who's harmed you? Why are you so distressed? Same spirit here. So the king is, like, who's done this for you? To you, to make you feel this way. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and evil is the wicked Haman.
Read that again. It's adversary and
and Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Okay, she's naming who it is now to her husband. Now you got to remember, Haman is the right hand man. This is his right hand man. But he sees his wife is in distraught, and she's has holding the power right now. And he's Haman, so she's letting him know who is causing her to have this distress. This man wants her dead. This man wants her dead and her people. And we're gonna see how the king reacts to this. Okay, and notice she says the wicked man, because Haman was a wicked man. He was a wicked. It shows the spirit of Esau, the Edomite. The wicked. And they want us destroyed. They want to find a reason to destroy us. Because especially the people that sigh and cry for their people, especially the people that will defend their people, they hate that. They hate that. And if they hate one, they hate all. I don't care if he's giving you a crumb. Okay, they hate you as well. They hate you as well. And that's what some of these leaders don't understand. When they think that this wicked Esau or Edomite that's over them loves them. He don't love you. He hates you. Okay? All right, keep going. Go verse 1.
I'm still in 6, sir.
Go ahead.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Okay, so Haman's at the banquet, and she put him on blast. She said, oh, it's this guy right here, your right-hand man. This man right here. Okay, he's trying to get us all killed. Okay, and Haman was afraid because he knew what type of king he served, and he knew, that the queen right here, well, I don't like to say the queen, but, she was, but in the sense that he knew that Esther right here, she's letting him know what type of man this man is, what type of man he is. Go ahead, verse 7.
Verse 7, and the king arising from the banquet of wine, and his wrath went into the palace garden.
Okay, so he arose and went into the garden. Okay, he has to think about this matter. This is right man. Okay, he's got to think about this matter. What's really going on here? Okay, and he's got to think about this. Go ahead.
And Haman stood up to make request of his life to Esther, the queen.
So Haman knows what type of trouble he's in right now. He knows the trouble he's in. He's really scared for his life right now. Okay, he's really scared for his life. He doesn't know what's going to happen. Okay, we're in verse. Let's read that again. Verse 7 again.
Esther 7:7. And the king arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen.
So Haman knows he's about to die. He knows that. He knows that his life is going to come to an end. He knows he's in trouble. So what does he do? He's begging Esther. He's asking, Queen Esther, for his life. Okay, and he's pretty much saying like, hey, listen, what can I do? He's sitting up there begging for this sister. Okay, go ahead.
For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
He knows he knows how Ahasuerus is. Okay, he knows what type of king he is. He's seen him in action before. If you're the right-hand man of somebody, you've seen them when they're angry. You've seen them. So he knows what is coming. So he goes and he actually pleads for his life to Esther. He pleads for his life. And we're going to see what happens. Verse 8, go ahead.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace guard into the palace, into the place of the banquet of wine.
So the king comes back in. He's coming back in. He's thought about this matter. He knows he's angry. He's thought about this matter. And then he comes back in. But this is where really where Haman messed up. Go ahead.
And Haman was fallen upon the bed wherein Esther was.
Okay, so he comes in and he's fallen on the bed of Esther. So the king didn't like this. He's like, this man's crazy. First, he wants to kill my wife and all the people. Now he's going to be all up on her bed. Well, that was it for him. Go ahead.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
Is he going to disrespect me like this to my face in my own house? Is he this disrespectful? This is what the king is saying. Is he this disrespectful? All right, go ahead.
As the words went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
Now I always like to think, they cover, in the movies where somebody gets, bagged up and tossed in the trunk, they bagged him up, covered his face real quick. Okay, now he's about to be taken. Now he's about to be taken to his demise. Okay, they bagged him up. In the movies where they jump out the bag. This is what happened to Haman. Now he's getting bagged and covered up. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai. Stop
right there. So Haman had designed something to pretty much hang Mordecai. Okay, he had made something to kill Mordecai. All right, and to hang him there. And you see right here once again the spirit of the Edomite. They that spirit back then to hang. Okay, you see that spirit. You saw that spirit all through the 1800s, 1900s, even to lynch, to hang a black man. It's the same spirit back then. Okay, he wanted to hang him. Okay, go ahead.
Who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang them thereon.
Okay, this now the king is saying, well, that was made for Mordecai, but we're going to take this thing that was designed to kill Mordecai, and we're going to hang Haman from it. Okay, and Haman was, go ahead, finish it off.
Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for. And was the king's right.
Okay, so pretty much his ego got the best of him, and he was killed and he was hung. But we see that the righteousness of Mordecai put him in a better position in this heathen system. Just like the righteousness of Daniel put him in a better position. Just like the righteousness of the three other ones, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that put them in a better position. Okay, and now, even with Queen Esther, it put her people in a better position because they obeyed and they did what the Most High had asked them to do. They obeyed. They didn't compromise, and they did not, they didn't. They didn't fold. Okay, so this story, because there's 2 days to this. But what I wanted to, so a couple points I wanted to point out today is that this story teaches us a lot of things. It teaches us how a righteous man like Mordecai can raise up a righteous sister. He raised up Esther, and he put his spirit in her. And it was from Esther's obedience and Esther's, willingness not to compromise to save her people. And this is why we do this feast. It is to remember that we should also not compromise when we are in the heathen system, just like these other brothers and sisters did not. And this also shows that when we don't compromise, that the Lord will repay the heathen that wants to come up against us, like he repaid it towards Haman. And so that's really the spirit that I wanted to talk about. And also, the other spirit is that when you look at the attitude of these heathen nations in the Bible, you can always see it nowadays, okay? Because it's pretty much history repeating itself. You saw the same attitude that Haman had in the Persian army. You saw that same attitude of people in the Greek and the Macedonians and the Romans and the British Empire and the Spanish, the conquistadors and the French, all the way to the American Empire. You see that same spirit that they had. That's why when you read this book, it's really talking about us now. Okay, and that spirit that these Edomites have, or the oppressor has towards us. But it also shows the attitude that we should have now. Mordecai and Esther had the spirit of brotherhood. They knew that their life was on the line, but they were willing to sacrifice their life, their life to save their people. And so that is the spirit behind Purim, which means to cast lots. So that's the spirit of what is it called, Purim, which is in Hebrew. The spirit that so that's the spirit behind it. Which all of these feast days really, it's really to help us get our identity back. It's to help us to get our inheritance back, and it brings us together. And so that's pretty much what I'd like to leave us with. We're going to go, and like I said, this is only day one. Part two is tomorrow. So I'd invite Akim to come back out tomorrow for part two of Purim. But what I'm going to do is, besides should we just close it out like regular class? Yeah. Okay, no sweat. All right, so I'll call. Let me call Priest Officer. No sweat. All right. Any questions, by the way? Any questions? Oh, Salakia, sister, I did get the answer from General Hyman for your question. The sister asked a question a few weeks ago about why was Jacob able to marry both the sisters, even though it was not even though it was not lawful. So General Hyman was talking about how the nation was a lot smaller. I think it was another brother said too, the nation was a lot smaller then. Okay, it was a lot smaller. And when the law of Moses came, the nation was a lot larger then. And, of course, it would cause problems between, sister and sister now. But back then, the nation was a lot smaller. He was showing how the people from Adam all the way down to before Moses, they were going off the traditions of Adam. But when Moses came, he was teaching us to be a civil nation because there was no law against certain things. Like at that time, Abraham was just willing to sacrifice his son. The Lord just told him. But there was no law. And then you get the law and say, you can't sacrifice the children. Abraham was going to do it. But when the law of Moses came and taught us to be more civil, to be a civil nation, the nation was a lot smaller then, so it was permitted. And also, he didn't know he was going to marry both of them because he was actually deceived. So pretty much that's why that was permitted. There was a few things that was permitted, but we know now it's not lawful for a brother to marry two sisters. Come.
At first he didn't know, but when he found out, he told him that he had do another 7 years.
Come.
He knew that he had to bring his two sisters, right?
Come, sir. Come, sir.
It was lawful back then.
Like you said, it wasn't no law per se against it, and like I said, they were going by the traditions of Adam, and they were just like, and Abraham just obeyed, and the Lord told him to just obey. But when Moses came, the law helped us become a more civil nation. All right, and with that, I'm going to pass the class over to the priest officer 50, the Darwin, to do our announcements.
Yeah, let's clap up that priest and officer, man, bringing out the word, man, letting everything be known. That's on this mighty feast day. All right. We got some security announcements. We got Isupk out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves to the world. After 6 months, since a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the heads to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi 3, 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew and is pronounced Ma'asharah. 10% of every penny of increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatever amount you like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. We got one more day of Purim, which is tomorrow. And then we got April the 1st, which is the Passover. You understand? We are advised by Captain Akkad to use the transportation provided. You understand? It's $20. Get back and forth to all the events that we got going on. You understand? Keep everybody safe. There's a lot of traffic supposedly on that day. And then we just don't want to get brothers and sisters jammed up out of town. You understand? So let's use the systems in place. You understand? All right. Reminder to Akim and Akwakim to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for Isupk events and materials. If a brother or sister if a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headscarves, and headbands and scarves. With that, they're Israel. Give one courtesy to the teachers. Mighty. Yeah. Mighty. Mighty. Barak. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua Barakatah.
Top, hands down. Saul, turn to face sisters. Sisters. Mighty. Brothers and sisters gonna get one, slide. Brothers gonna get one courtesy to the teachers. To the sisters. And there's a mighty Shabbat, mighty Barak, Yahweh Shema, Adam Ba'Shem Yahushua. On the top, class dismissed.
Take your time.
Peace out.